Okay, today we are playing a game on the Temple of Anubis. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing Zenyatta the entire way through. And our current team composition is Winston, Zarya, Hanzo, Widowmaker, Mercy, and Zenyatta. So, it's a pretty normal, like, 2-sniper comp, which, you know, if we rewind just a couple of months, would be the absolute worst thing imaginable. But presently, pretty normal. Now, the thing is, though, Winston over there. Winston's not doing so well in the current metagame, which seems counterintuitive given that Winston counters snipers, right? So double sniper seems like Winston should be pretty good. The problem is, though, that he doesn't actually counter Hanzo, because Hanzo just kind of kills him, or just, like, leaves, basically, and Winston can't do too terribly much about that. But also, Baguette's in the game, and someone can pick it at any moment in time. So, it tends to be very difficult for Winston to actually get too much done. And now he's also got to jump into new Symmetra, and soon he'll also have to jump into Hammond as well, probably. So, it's not so good for Monkey Man right now. Fine in and of himself, but the current meta doesn't particularly favor him. He kind of gets fucked, which is very unfortunate, because you'd think, oh, double snipers, very meta, that's like the perfect situation for Hanzo, for Winston, rather. It tends to not be so much the case, actually. Especially when, if you're playing just, like, by yourself or, like, duo, you're jumping in by yourself with no guarantee of follow-up, and you're probably just going to get fucked by them. Because the enemy team is always way more coordinated than your team is, isn't it? That's just how life is. Anyway, enough nonsense. We're going to start the game. We are joining this game. Fucking pushed space and nothing happened. With such force as well. Let's go. So we are starting this game in medias res. As we can see, we're 50 seconds in already, and we're capturing the checkpoint. Hooray. We had, in fact, killed 2 people right before the video started, so all's gone pretty well. Hooray, we did it! Woo! Massive success. That's got to be a record for capturing the first checkpoint, about 5.5 seconds. Looks like we're doing something around our desk. We're all tabbed out, so we go hide in there. We've got Transcendence built up. Hanzo's just gone and gotten himself killed, so it's not the worst time to do so, because the second checkpoint is always most vulnerable immediately after capturing the first checkpoint. We've just heard the tire. Here comes the tire. We're dead now. Like, we're pretty fucked, but, like, did we start charging up to try and, like, blast it as soon as it appeared? No, we decided to reload first, and then when we start charging, it's all over, basically. We had enough that we could have just started charging before reloading and hoping to get it, but let's be real. It's probably not gonna happen. The tire is that way, where we're more relying on, like, Widowmaker finishing it off than anybody else, Widowmaker being one of the better people in the game for breaking a tire. We have gold healing and gold damage, isn't that depressing? When the damage wasn't even 1.5k quite, so, what a depressing world we live in sometimes. So, basically just filling space while we wait for our team to eventually regroup, hopefully, you know. Genji's hovering around over there. Genji's dead now because he's bad. We're peeking this doorway while we're at 100 health, which is a bad idea because we're playing Zenyatta. Zenyatta's already easy enough to kill. We don't need to be peeking corners when we're at half health. Being that Zenyatta's hitbox is literally just a floating cube, he's not exactly hard to kill as it is. So I couldn't believe this. I was absolutely flabbergasted by our flagrant greed right here. Alright, so team's pushing in over there. I'm just gonna walk right past Reinhardt. Like, and the worst part is that Reinhardt just kind of lets us do it. What a fucking bitch he is. Like, this guy is a bottom, 100%. Just lets us waltz right through, even though we're the only one waltzing through. What a bitch. There was a Widow up there, I guess, but I mean, what a bitch. Fucking hit the Zenyatta. Don't just take that shit lying down. So, I couldn't believe it. I'm assuming the idea was basically just well, team's over there. I've got Transcendence, so I'm just gonna kind of walk through and push Transcendence when they try to kill me. We should just be with our team. Like, we're just over on the archway by ourselves. We should just be with our team, really. I get that the cave is kind of scary to Zenyatta, because Zenyatta likes to be far away from danger, and the cave being a fairly confined location makes that difficult. Get fucked. But we should have just been with our team, instead of just being out there on the bridge and then waltzing in by ourselves. So, we gotta bear in mind the right side of the spawn is also pretty scary, right side of the point rather is scary, because that's the most commonly taken path for people reinforcing on Anubis, so we have to kind of glance over there every now and then to make sure somebody like Junkrat isn't coming to ass blast us while our back is turned. Again, Zenyatta's already easy enough to kill, we don't need to make it easier for them. Ideally, also, we're not actually standing on the point. Ideally, we're standing slightly off the point, one way or another. Because that's what the tanks are for. We let them stand on the objective for us instead. I was gonna try and draw to illustrate my point, but behind the pillar isn't super helpful. Like, ideally, we're just kind of like standing around here, or like standing in here, if like we push it in from that direction. Or, you know, like, this is a scary place to stand because that's the most commonly taken path to reinforce. So, like, basically, we want to be more over on this side, or like on the bridge. Standing on the objective is almost always the scariest place you can stand, because it's the place that's going to have the most attention directed to it. And Zenyatta's a really long-range hero, so we can kind of avoid that danger by just not standing on it, because we have effectively infinite range as a Zenyatta. So we jump down here. This is a dangerous place to jump. This is what we were saying, we like to be far away from danger, and we just jumped right next to a Roadhog in a confined location. Not a recommended maneuver. Zenyatta has effectively infinite range due to not having fall-off damage. So as long as you're in range to be able to put your orbs on people, you're basically within his effective range. Now, the thing is that if you're too far back, it can be easy for the enemy team to kill you because you're isolated, but that's less of a problem for the attacking team because the defenders are typically doing less flanking than the attacking team would be. So you can get away with standing pretty far back as Zenyatta, and without getting murdered. So, you know, Zenyatta, Zarya, Hanzo, good combination of heroes, as it turns out. The tire is spooking us right now. I like how their Zenyatta also used Transcendence after everything was already done, so, you know, that's cool. I would have 100% used Transcendence right there, just because it looks like we're gonna win this fight, so I really don't want to die over there. So I would have used Transcendence just to try and guarantee the fight, because we want that to be the last fight. It looks like we can realistically win. If we get killed, our chances of winning drop down quite drastically, seeing as we're one of the supports. Being alive is quite important for the supports. There was a really good video series, I have to try and find it. It was just called something like How to Survive as a Support. Like, if you type that into YouTube, you'll probably find it. And it was a video series someone made about how to survive as, I believe he did every single support. At the time I'd seen it, he had only done, I think, Zenyatta and Mercy, but it was very interesting. I would recommend watching that. I'll try and find it if future me can be asked to remember to look for a link. It was really good, though. You'll find it, like, if you just type it into YouTube as well, but I'll try and get future me to remember. So, we're kick the table also, sorry about that. We'll more sort of need it, because my leg is all the way up here. Because, I don't like to have my feet touching the floor when I'm sitting down for some reason. I'm weird like that. Anyway, so they still have their Widowmaker. They didn't have a Widowmaker before, did they? No, we had the Widowmaker. They have a Widowmaker now. That's scary to us because we're playing Zenyatta. We're a floating cube. We're quite easy to hit. I dislike the constant spamming of the right click as Zenyatta, because if there's somebody just kind of like in front of you, it's almost always better to just shoot at them instead. The right click's better for like peeking corners. If you're tracking somebody through a wall with Discord or with Infrasight, fair enough. If you're like filling space because Genji's like deflecting in front of you or something like that and you're waiting for it to end, alright, fair enough. But like all other times, I'd rather just left click. The right click sometimes gets you like cheesy kills and that feels good, but like they even nerfed it so that's less likely to happen as well. But like, If somebody's kind of like just like directly in front of you, I hate seeing people start charging the right click when they could just be shooting at somebody directly in front of them. I'm on record as thinking Zenyatta's right click is not as good as everybody says it is. I think it just gets you a random kill every now and then, and that feels good. I find most people spam the right click at bad times, and end up getting... I put specific emphasis on it as if that was one of those moments, but, like, not really. People tend to spam the right click at bad times, which means they are unable to respond to things happening in the game properly because they're locked into some animation, because they're spamming the right click all the time. I think Zenyatta's right click, I think people being told to, like, use the right click as much as possible breeds bad habits into people, and they get punished for it more often than they get rewarded for it because they don't know when they should be doing it. So we shouldn't do that. We should basically never go and try to solo someone as Zenyatta because it's very unlikely to work. It is basically entirely reliant on them being alone and you getting them with the one shot with the right click. So almost any, not even almost, anybody that you could be going to duel as Zenyatta is more likely to kill you than you are to kill them. And like, even Mercy is probably more likely to kill you than you are to kill her, honestly. Just because Zenyatta's hitbox is so very bad. So this is gone. We should be leaving. We shouldn't still be fighting here. Like, this checkpoint's gone. We should just leave. Whole team's dead, basically. So we're just gonna end up dying over here as well. At least we didn't use Transcendence. I've seen a lot of Zenyatta's waste their ult in that position. We just shouldn't have been over there. We should have left. Checkpoint was gone. There's no point fighting over a checkpoint you've already lost. And we already lost that one. So we've got... They're gonna capture that checkpoint. It's not the end of the world. We've got a few ultimates that we can work with over here. It's fine. One of them, I think, was Infrasight, which is, like, not super fantastic, but our Mercy has changed to Reaper, which means our main healer is now Ana, which is very depressing news, honestly, because, like, Mercy is just, like, really good right now. I do think Ana is better than a lot of people say she is right now. I saw a thread the other day that was, like, compared to Mercy, Ana's still a throw pick. Ana's pretty good for the current meta, actually, because... the bio grenade just is, it's good with and against the graviton combo, because if the enemy team are stuck in your graviton and you throw the dragon strike through it, if you throw your grenade into it, they die, even if they have transcendence. So it just makes you, it gives you an out for that team fight, right, that you might not necessarily otherwise have. And if your team is stuck in the graviton, transcendence is not necessarily enough to save you, because if the... This is going to get changed, actually, so I'm not going to say what I was about to say, because that's about to get changed. For the record, currently you can damage boost Hanzo's Dragon. That's been changed on the PTR. It's an undocumented change, but apparently Hanzo's Dragon no longer benefits from damage boosts. Your team being in the Graviton, there's no guarantee Transcendence actually saves you. There's a good chance it does, but there's no guarantee. If you buy a grenade yourself, you do survive. Because then it's fucking buffed Transcendence healing, which is already a fucking lot. And you can fuck up their graviton as well. And currently the way the game is, very little dive is actually in the game right now, because it's just so hard for people to dive into teams right now, because you can always pick Bridget. Now Symmetra is going to be there as well. So it's very difficult for people to dive, and the main reason that Ana was bad was because, well, there's the fact Nano Boost isn't fantastic, but there's the fact that Ana is so weak to dive. There's, like, no dive right now, and the Bio Grenade is good with and against the Hanzo Graviton Dragon Strike combo. So I think Ana's a lot better than people give her credit for right now. I definitely don't think she's a throw pick anymore. Like, I would have agreed with that a few months ago, but I think for the current meta, Ana's actually pretty good. A lot better than... She's probably better than Moira is, more often than not right now. And that's coming from somebody who plays Moira a fucking lot, right? Ana's probably better than Moira is, on average, right now. Just because of the specific... just how specifically good the Bio Grenade is right now. Because Moira doesn't have anything like that. So, anyway. She can supplement the healing in the own Graviton as well, but, like... Ana's probably better on average right now. So we went over to use the Graviton as one does in that the Transcendence rather in that situation, as one does as Zenyatta, and we got killed regardless. Now, fortunately enough, we're playing a 2CP map. We don't stay on Bridget because we realize that we're basically going to win, so we change back again. Now our only other healer is Lucio. So this is real bad. Now we should change to a main healer instead, because the other healer is Lucio. Granted, he changed to Lucio to get back out here faster, so he might change, but I would have like changed to a Moira coming out of the spawn right there. You get back relatively quickly as Moira, and she's a main healer, you know. I also just really like Moira, so I don't like playing Mercy and Ana. Mercy I find very boring to play. And Ana I find to be, like, I just kind of don't want to do Ana's mechanics, basically, is the crux of it. I just don't like Ana as much as I like Moira, so I'd rather play Moira than the other two healers. Moira is probably the worst of the three main healers right now, though. Unless you're running a triple tank comp, which is where Moira is really good. Though Ana's still also good at that as well. So, Genji's on us right now, and he's using Dragon Strike. Oh god, or Dragon Blade, rather. He's not using Dragon Strike. But we just sort of dance around the pillar. He can't figure it out. Oh no, we got hung up on the wall a little bit. I like that we did look back at the spawn while we were running to it, because you do actually run slightly slower going backwards. You run at 90% of your speed going backwards. Unfortunately, we still died. We got, like... it was miraculous we survived the Dragon Blade, honestly. We played around the pillar pretty good and didn't die. So, like, I'm not gonna bemoan that, really. Because we lived way longer than we had any right to. And then we just didn't quite manage to hobble back into spawn in time. We saw that, right? That was there. Yeah. Was, like, next to pieces of box and stuff, but we saw that. Watch your feet. Even though Zenyatta shouldn't really have to watch his feet for the trap, but, you know, whatever. Consistent rules, even though he's not actually on the ground, he gets caught by the trap, because they should all get caught by the trap. Now, I'm all for consistency, but why do half of the cast kill themselves with their own explosions, but half of them don't? I just want everybody's explosions to kill them, or nobody's explosions to kill themselves, right? Because right now we've got Junkrat, who is hurt by none of his explosions, despite being covered by some dirt and a pair of shorts. Presumably he has really fucking strong nipples, then. Despite whenever he goes to Volskaya, nope. Need a mitten. Need some mittens now. Just put a fucking shirt on. Anyway, I'm getting off track now. Off track on my thing I already got off track on. So Junkrat doesn't hurt himself with any of his explosions. D.Va doesn't kill herself despite having the single strongest explosion in the game. It doing 1,000 damage at point blank range. But, also she's got a cat suit, you know, Zero Suit Samus. Pharah, in her high-tech battle armor, presumably one of the most advanced sets of armor present in the game, kills herself all the fucking time. Tracer kills herself with her mine. Zarya can kill herself with her own explosions, even if they are at weak charge, despite her skin probably being about 10 times stronger than Junkrat's, but, you know, whatever. And, Soldier kills himself with his explosions. I just want everyone... Oh, and Bastion can do it as well, despite being a tank. I just want everyone to die to their own explosions, or nobody to die to their own explosions. I just want consistent application of the rules. Why did Junkrat and D.Va get to be exempt from the explosions kill you rule? And I mean, I know the actual reason, because there was a point in time D.Va didn't die to self-destruct, and it was awful. But, like, and there was a point where Junkrat could kill himself with all his own explosions as well. And it was just found that Junkrat was a lot better when he didn't have to worry about that, because he kind of likes to fight people pretty close up. But, like, it's very upsetting to me that 2 people die to their own explosion, that 2 people don't die to their own explosions. Everybody else does. Even though it makes less sense for them to be able to not die to their own explosions. Junkrat has the least claim to be immune to his own explosions. He is fucking half naked. And he is immune to his own explosions. Fucking Pharah. High-tech battle armor. Nope. Kills herself all the time. Similarly upsetting, right? Reinhardt, big Crusader armor, strong boy, 500 hit points, right? Roadhog is fat, 600 hit points. Also, Roadhog, 50% damage immunity, because he's huffing on some paint. Reinhardt, no damage immunity, despite being a paladin. Anyway, fucking hate this game. Yes, I am saying that this game where you can play as a hyper-intelligent gorilla from the moon with a jetpack is too unrealistic. That's what I'm telling you right now. It's very upsetting. My immersion has been shattered. So we've got Transcendence right now. That's cool. Lucio's also got Sound Barrier. So there should be no reason we die to this next team fight, basically. They've also Tracer's just picked off both their supports, which means they're going to be doing nothing for the next 20 or 30 seconds. So, hooray. We've got some more time. Any free time at all when you're defending is great. You should always be under the impression, I'm of the belief you should always expect the enemy team to capture all of the checkpoints, and you're just trying to buy as much time as possible. Ideally, they don't capture all the checkpoints, but I think you should operate under the assumption they will, and you're just trying to buy as much time as possible when you're defending. Doesn't matter how well you defend, all that matters is if you attack better. We've all had that game where we didn't defend particularly well and they got it there in overtime, and then we turn it around and crush them in like a minute and a half, right? Like, attacking is way more important than defending. So Reaper just killed a bunch of them. He killed both their supports and one other with Death Blossom, so we're going to win this team fight. And the last, like, minute, we've not had to do anything because of the way the picks have worked out, and now for the next, like, 20, 30 seconds, we're also not going to have to worry about it as well. So we've effectively just had 2 minutes of free time, basically, which is great. Yeah, anybody can get up here, by the way. Fun fact. Some people, I've seen people get blown away by that. They'll look up there and see, like, some, like, McCree up there and be like, how the fuck did McCree get up there? Yeah, anybody can actually jump up here. Fun fact. The thing is that you have to go, like, kind of far out to do it, so if you're kind of starting to lose ground, you can't do it, but anybody can get up here. That's a great place to be. So that's happening. We do layer support ultimates over top of each other right there, which is unfortunate. Ideally, Transcendence would be used first, because Lucio can then use his to try and block, like, the Tire or Pulse Bomb, but that's a little bit too much coordination to ask of, like, a solo queue game. So, you know, we layer both support ults over each other. Both supports have a vested interest of not dying in the Graviton, so that's fair enough. We're a greedy boy, is why we died right there. That probably doesn't need an agonizing amount of detail gone into it right there, but basically we're a greedy boy. So, they're like, it looks like they might capture the checkpoint, but they're going to capture it in an overtime at this point, so it's not the end of the world, because we've got over a minute left. If you have over a minute left and the enemy team captures it in overtime, they don't get the extension, so they don't get an attacking round anymore. So you end up in the position where you can't lose anymore. The exceptions are, if you have less than a minute left, it's going to give you the extension, so it's going to give them the extension as well, or if you both finish in overtime. But if you got more than a minute left and the enemy team finishes in overtime, they don't get the extension. So sometimes even just, like, having 0.1 seconds left on the clock matters so that you still get your attacking round. Junkrat got play at the game. Yep, this looks about right. Yep, So, you know, it occurs to me, this video is actually on flowfeedback.com. There's no comments on it anywhere through. Not a single one. How sad. I can't think of a recurring issue that I saw. Well, I guess greed was a recurring issue. The thing that like really sticks out in my mind was just when we were like off by ourselves, and then we were like, fuck, how do I get back to the team? Walk right through the front. Just walk right past the Reinhardt in the front door. I assume it was, I mean, obviously I don't know your thought process, but I have to assume it was basically like, fuck, they're over there, I got Transcendence, I can just kind of walk over to them, it's not the end of the world. We should have just been with our team better than, like, we should have just been following our team more closely, because then we wouldn't have had to do that, basically, and we could have saved Transcendence for what it's actually used for, which is negating other people's ultimates. Yeah, greed was like the recurring issue, I guess. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.